Okay, this is Pete. What we're doing, we're working on our 73 Karmann Ghia that we got in a couple days ago because we got to get this thing in epoxy primer. Now what you're looking at behind me is the 73 Karmann Ghia. And the owner had went ahead and when it was at the other shop that he had it at, he went ahead and stripped it down on the inside completely. Now, we got to get that in epoxy primer and he stripped it with airplane stripper. So we got to prep all that metal up before we put the sealer on it. Now, to start our journey on that, we're going to go ahead and look inside it. If you look inside here, okay, he went ahead and stripped it down for the third fucking time. And it looks really good. He did a real nice job. But we still got to come back and get all the surface rust off of it, like you see here. We got to come back and clean it all up in the corners. And all that's got to be cleaned. And just looking at it is giving me a fucking nightmare already, but it's got to be done. So when you look down, in here, you'll see he even did the back of the car where carpet and stuff is going to be. Now that's a good idea to do that, but it's not necessary. The reason I say it's not necessary is because all that's going to be covered with insulation and carpet, and it's just really not a necessary situation unless you just want to do it that way. So whatever. I'm going to hopefully get all the inside of it done today in epoxy primer. That's a big job. So hopefully before 7:30, 8 o'clock tonight we'll have that done. And then tomorrow we'll come back and we'll do all the outside. And then it'll be epoxy primered. So let's see what we got. All right, what you're looking at right here on the table is basically what it's gonna take to do the job. We got some 80 grit sandpaper. We got a block. Okay, I'm gonna use the blocks because I can use these edges right here. And it just sands a lot easier instead of using your hand where you got all the empty grooves going on. Then we got some red coarse Scotch Brite, okay? We got a nice clean wire brush that we're gonna get all the flaky stuff off with. We got us our grinder, okay, our Roll-O-Lock grinder. This is 36 grit. Okay, if there's any major rust or bad spots, we got to get out. This will take care of that. We also got us a wire wheel, okay? And this is on a drill. All right, so that's very important to use that while you're at it. And the main thing that we're really going to be concerning ourselves with is our safety glasses and a nice, good, thick pair of flexible leather gloves is what I use. So I'm going to go ahead and detail, fine-tune detail all the metal up, okay? And I'm going to make sure, let me get this straight here. I'm going to make sure that all the residue from the stripper is gone. I'm also going to make sure that there's no flaking going on. If there's any mild surface rust, we're going to get that off. And then what we got to do to make sure that the whole vehicle is super clean before I put the epoxy primer on today, I got to go back with vinegar water. And I'm going to show you how to do that. That requires steel wool, vinegar water, and running water, which is clean water to rinse it off with. So, all right, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take our air hose. I have a built-in blower on the end. If you hear any hissing from my air hose, I will let you know right now, it's the blower, not the coupler. So, just to let you know that. So I'm going to basically do this car in sections. I'm going to go ahead and get all this first, then I'll get up under here, then I'll do the dash, I'll get the door jambs and all the stuff on the top of the car, and then I'll move back here to the back of the car. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to take my wire brush, and it's got a scraper end on the other end in case I run into some, like right here, I don't know if you can even see that. Okay, there's a little bit of glue right there, okay, seam sealer. But what we're going to do, we're going to take that and we're going to make sure we get all, okay, back, I see this one's nice and clean. Okay, they've taken the seam sealer out. This will all have to be seam sealed in before the car is painted. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to get all the edges. If you can see what I'm doing here, to make sure there's no dry, flaky substance like we have right here in this corner still left on the car. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my drill. And this type of job actually does require that you have air tools because of certain tools that you need for the job. I'm going to go ahead and clean all the metal off with this, see? Okay. Once that's all complete, okay, then I'll come back. And if you notice, you can see where I polished the metal off, got that residue off. Then I'm going to come back with a Scotch-Brite, okay? If you look right here, I'm going to come back with a Scotch-Brite, and I'm going to Scotch-Brite everything real good. Now, I have myself a little screwdriver if I can find it. And what that screwdriver's for is I'm going to wrap that, okay, I'm going to take that Scotch-Brite and I'm going to wrap it around the corner of it, and I'm going to grab it, see? And what that's going to do, that's going to give me, see what I'm saying there? We'll be able to clean these corners out real well. I don't even know if you can see that corner. Let me do it over here. Okay? And I'm trying to do this. The car's on a roller, so be patient with me. You take the small screwdriver, you wrap your Scotch-Brite around it. And that way, you can get in the corners very good. And you don't have to worry. See how I'm getting up in this corner right here? I'm coming around this edge. Okay, so that's what the screwdriver's for. Okay, so anyway, I'll take my Scotch-Brite and I'll Scotch-Brite it all down just like I'm sanding it. Get all of the residue of the stripper. Once that procedure's done, that's where our 80 grit and our block come in. Okay, now besides using a block, I'm going to go ahead and use a piece of sandpaper. The block is for the big areas, and the piece of sandpaper that I'm using is for the small, hard-to-reach places such as this. You see what I'm saying? And now what that's going to do, that's going to roughen our surface up, so it gives us a good bonding, stable bonding area for our epoxy primer to adhere to. Okay. Okay, now, if you got a clean car like this, the most that you'll probably have to do is use your wire wheel. I always go back over it with Scotch-Brite, okay, and I always scuff it up, if I can find it, and I always scuff it up with my 80 grit, but, okay, it's really just making sure that your metal's clean, because once we get this done here, I'm going to go ahead and get some vinegar water, okay, and I'm going to wash the car off with vinegar water and then rinse it off with water, and that'll be super, super clean. Then I'll go ahead and epoxy prime it. Yes, I noticed on this edge here, see there, it's got glue on the edge, seam sealer. We'll be able to get that off, see? We want to make sure all that's off of there before we... So this is a very, very important job if you're stripping your car. Okay, if you look right here, you can see that I've removed all the surface rust with my d.i.y sander, and then I went ahead and I went up the car and I stopped right in here because I got to let my air compressor catch up. But what I'm concentrating on is there's a lot of spots, okay, on your vehicle if you strip down to bare metal that you aren't going to be able to get all the paint off if you don't take your time and strip it right. So what you got to do is you got to get inside all these little grooves, see, to get all that out. And most people would go ahead and sand that off, okay? Would sand the paint and you know, by the time they go to bed at night, they got fucking arthritis in their fingers because they're wasting their fucking time using sandpaper, okay? And they're using their little fingers and they're, you know, doing this, that, and the other. I'm gonna show you a little trick here, how to get that paint out real quick where you don't have to do a lot of sanding inside all the grooves and stuff. So if you look right in this area here, this is our lip where our rubber goes in for our deck, for our trunk lid on our Karmann Ghia. Now if you watch real close right in that area there, you can see there's still paint. So what I do is I get a screwdriver, okay? And the way that I'm going to clean that out, I'm going to take the screwdriver and I'm going to go ahead and pretty much scrape it out just like you see. And I'm going to get as much as I can out with my screwdriver. I'm going to have to come back this way. And then I'm going to get it right in here in this area. But if you see, I'm going to go around the whole thing. Okay? And I'm going to chip that paint out with the screwdriver. So see, what we got here is we got common shop tools that we're using to do the work that we need to do without fancy ass tools that we need to go purchase to do the job. Okay? It's a lot easier to take your screwdriver, go down that edge, and chip that off, okay? And then come back and sand it, and feather it out, than it is to try to sand that shit out of there from the start. And if you look right in this area right here, this is where our latch goes for our door. And what I did, I took my screwdriver and I went ahead and chipped it out, just like I showed you. I cleaned it up. That's where a spot weld is. Okay, I cleaned it up, and then I take my sandpaper, and that's all it takes. See, that's it. See there? So basically what I'm trying to tell you here is use your common sense, okay? If you think you're lost on the job, you're not. Sit down and think it out and stop, okay? Stop so you can use your mind to do some work, to make your hands do the work. That's the way that you're gonna get it done. Now I gotta get the rest of this car done. I gotta go back and meticulously get all the paint off that they missed when they stripped the car. And if they would've used steel wool to strip the car instead of a scraper blade and put gouges all over in the metal, okay, I wouldn't have to do this. They should have used some steel wool and got in there with the stripper, and that would have been clean. It would have been done. They could have used steel wool when they stripped the car down in all the gaps, and it would have been done, okay? But that's the situation we have, and that's the situation that we found a solution for. This is Pete. Take it easy. We'll see you later. And we will be back on this car if that fucking gnat will get out of my face. It's that time of the year. It's that time of the year. Take it easy.